Hi everyone, Miss Kaylin here, and today's story is called The Three Little Fish and the Big Bad Shark by Geist. And it's all about three little fish named Jim, Tim, and Kim. And they were brothers and sisters, and they lived in the great big ocean with their mom until one day, when they grew up big and strong, they realized it was time for them to go out into the ocean and find a new place to live. So they swam off in different directions in search of a new home. And the oldest brother, Jim, was the first one to find something to build a house with. He spotted a field of seaweed, and inside the seaweed lived a seahorse. So he asked the seahorse, "Mr. Seahorse, can I take some seaweed and build myself a home?" And the seahorse said, "Why, of course. Take as much as you can carry." And the seahorse swam away, and Jim grabbed as much seaweed as he could and built his very own seaweed house. "Oh, I love this house so much," said Jim. "I'm gonna live here forever." But what Jim didn't know was that nearby lived a big, bad shark. And this shark was hungry. And when he smelled new fish nearby, he went out in search for it. He swam all the way up to Jim's front door and said, "Hey, little fish, let me in." And Jim said, "Not by the scales on my finny fin fins." And that shark said, "Well, then I'm gonna munch, and I'm gonna crunch, and I'm gonna smash your house in. Nom 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 nom." And he ate the seaweed house in one giant bite. And Jim swam away as fast as he could, and he was faster than the shark. Whew, he had escaped. And so Jim went to search for his little brother, Tim. And Tim had built his very own house too, except Tim's house was not made of seaweed. He built his house out of sand. He made a sand castle. Do you think this house will be stronger than the last one? Well, Tim was safe and sound inside his sandcastle home when his brother swam up and said, Tim, there's a shark in the ocean. Can I stay with you?" And Tim said, "Of course, brother. Besides, we fish stick together." And so they swam inside the castle and waited. And pretty soon, along came the big, bad shark again. He swam up to the front door and said, "Hey, little fish, let me in." And Jim and Tim shook their tails and said, "Not by the scales on our finny fin fins." And the shark said, "Well, then I will munch, and I will crunch, and I will smash your house in. Nom 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 nom." And he ate that sandcastle in one giant bite. Blech. And Jim and Tim swam away as fast as they could. And luckily, they were faster than the shark. Whew, safe again. And so this time they went to look for the third fish, their little sister, Kim. And Kim had found a house too, but she did not make her house out of seaweed, and she did not make her house out of sand. Kim had made her house out of a sunken wooden shipwreck. Do you think this is stronger than the last two houses? Well, Kim was now safely inside her new sunken ship house, and that was when she saw her brothers swim up. They said, Kim, there's a shark in the water. Can we stay with you?" And Kim said, "Of course, I have plenty of room. And besides, we fish stick together." And so they swam inside their sister's new house and waited. And pretty soon, along came the big, bad shark again. He swam up to the boat and said, "Hey, little fish, let me in." And the three little fish shook their tails and said, "Not by the scales on our finny fin fins." And that shark said, "Well, then I'll munch, and I'll crunch, and I'll smash your house in. Nom nom, ow!" said the shark. And he tried again. Nom, ow! said the shark. "This wood is really tough. That kind of hurt. I think I need to bite really, really hard." And so he decided to take the biggest bite he possibly could. Nom, ow! said the shark. And all of his teeth fell out. Ow, 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 ow. And the shark swam away as fast as he could, never to be seen again. And finally, the three little fish, Jim, Tim, and Kim, were safe at last. And the shark became a vegetarian. And that is the end of the story, The Three Little Fish and the Big Bad Shark. I hope you enjoyed it, everybody. Bye-bye.